Here's today's First Word Daily Devotion.
December the 15th, let's start backwards today because I'm afraid if we start in Amos, we won't get to Proverbs. And I want you to see Proverbs. This proverb especially presents a riddle, the words of Agur, son of Japheth, the oracle. The man declares, I am weary, O God, I am weary, O God, and worn out. Surely I am too stupid to be a man. I have not the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One. And then here comes the riddle. Listen carefully. This is why we're reading the Bible. We're reading the Bible the way that we're reading it to answer the riddle. Who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? And then here's the question. What is his name? And what is his son's name? Surely you know. And that's an answer, that's a riddle that's not answered, not directly though, but we know the answer. It's the same question that Jacob asked when he wrestled with the angel. The question, of course, is, what is your name? Please tell me. And on that day, the angel didn't tell him his name. And here is this riddle that speaks down through the ages from the Old Testament. What is his name? And what is his son's name? Surely you know. Of course, the son's name is Jesus Christ. And we can say that definitively because of what we have in the New Testament. Let's turn back then, Amos 1 through 4. And of course, there's a historical time marker here. The words of Amos, who was among the shepherds of Tekoa. And then, of course, in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. And then here's the historical reference again, 2 years before the earthquake. And we're going to see Zechariah. We hadn't gotten to Zechariah yet, but Zechariah is also going to mention the earthquake. And then here's this pattern in chapter 1, 3 and 4, 3 and 4, 3 and 4. For 3 transgressions of Damascus, and for 4. For 3 transgressions of Gaza, and for 4. Verse 9, for 3 transgressions of Tyre, and for 4. And then, of course, verse 11, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4. For 3 transgressions of the Ammonites, and for 4. And then in chapter 2, the pattern continues, for 3 transgressions of Moab, and for 4. And then look at verse 4. Here we make it into Judah. For 3 transgressions of Judah, and 4, I will not revoke the punishment. So I will send a fire upon Judah, and it shall devour the stronghold of Jerusalem. All right, 2 verses for Judah. But look here in verse 6. For 3 transgressions of Israel, and for 4, I will not revoke the punishment. So here we have 2 verses for Israel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it just keeps going all the way to the end of chapter 2, all relating to Israel. And so in other words, Israel is given the most space. They have the highest transgression. And I hope that you'll see that, what they've done. He raised up prophets. He reiterates the Exodus to them at verse 10. It was I who brought you out of the land of Egypt, led you in the wilderness. I raised up some of your sons for prophets. This is the Lord wooing and calling the people to himself. This again is a demonstration of the steadfast love of the Lord. Verse 12, but you made the Nazarites drink wine, commanded the prophets, saying, you shall not prophesy. And then, of course, God said he's going to come and judge the people. Chapter 3 then, of course, we have the word clear of judgment. Verse 2, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Amos chapter 3 and verse 3 is perhaps in one of the most famous sections in Amos. Do 2 walk together unless they have agreed to meet? Does a lion roar in the forest when he has no prey? Does a young lion cry out from his den if he has taken nothing? Does a bird fall in the snare of the earth when there is no trap for it? Does a snare spring up from the ground when it has taken nothing? Is a trumpet blown in a city and the people not afraid? Does disaster come to a city unless the Lord has done it? Now here's verse 7. For the Lord does nothing without revealing his secrets to his servants, the prophets. The lion has roared, who will not fear? The Lord God has spoken, who can but prophesy? And then in verse 12 here of chapter 3, we have this beautiful iteration of God bringing salvation. Thus saith the Lord, as the shepherd rescues from the mouth of the lion 2 legs or a piece of an ear, so shall the people of Israel who dwell in Samaria be rescued with the corner of a couch and part of a bed. In other words, there will be a remnant that is left who will carry on the promise of God. And of course, we have in chapter 4 and verse 6, here is God's provision. Here we see God's judgment. And here we see all of this is to demonstrate His relentless pursuit of His people. Here's the good things that I did. Here is the judgment that I brought, also that I could win your heart. Verse 13, for behold, He who forms the mountains and creates the wind declares to man what is his thought, who makes the morning darkness, treads on the heights of the earth. The Lord, the God of hosts, is His name. What a beautiful picture for us today coming from Amos. But let's close the Old Testament today in our reading and let's go into Revelation. Revelation chapter 5. What a beautiful passage. And we won't be able to get here today because of time. But Psalm 135 in the ESV Everyday Bible sits right behind Revelation 5 and as a perfect complement to our Revelation reading. Verse 1 of chapter 5. Remember yesterday in chapter 4, peering into the throne room of heaven. After peering into heaven, we have this vision. Then I saw in the right hand of Him who was seated on the throne a scroll written within and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. I saw a mighty angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals? No one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. And I began to weep loudly, because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. And one of the elders said to me, Weep no more. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has conquered, so that He can open the scroll and its 7 seals. And of course in verse 6, don't miss this, please read this. This shows us a bit of how we're to interpret the book of Revelation. Here we have another picture of Jesus. Jesus, of course, having, as though He had been slain as a lamb. The lamb has 7 horns with 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. And so that is a symbolic picture of Jesus. Jesus doesn't look like a lamb. Of course, He is the lamb who was slain. Of course, Jesus doesn't have 7 horns with 7 eyes. Again, that's pure symbolism telling us about who Jesus is and what He has come to do. And of course, there's this beautiful golden bowl full of incense. Don't miss this at verse 8, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, saying, Worthy are you to take the scroll and to open its seals. For you were slain, and by your blood you ransomed people for God, from every tribe, language, people, and nation. You have made them a kingdom of priests to our God, and they shall reign on the earth. Then I looked and heard around the throne living creatures, the elders, the voice of many angels, numbering myriads of myriads, thousands upon thousands. There again, that's a Daniel 7 reference, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb who was slain, to receive power and wealth and wisdom and might and honor and glory and blessing. And I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth and in the sea and all that is in them saying, To Him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be blessing and honor and glory and might forever and ever. And it's my prayer today that we, as we read, we will join the multitude of praise. We will begin to let eternity break into our hearts today as we sing a song, Worthy is the Lamb who was slain.